Hey everyone, Anthony here. Today I'm going to be talking about the Ramones' first album, their self-titled album. When it came out, it was huge. Not like huge on like a mainstream, it blew up, but everyone who listened to it and loved it decided that they wanted to start a band. And so the first album that the Ramones put out is the blueprint of punk rock today, with its fast music, catchy lyrics, weird, dark sense of humor. It was revolutionary. Also, though, the Ramones' self-titled album might be a concept album. Let me tell you why. So the story that the Ramones' self-titled album tells, it's an allegory for how international conflicts and international wars affects the people who fight them and affects the people that they in turn interact with. And it talks about how international conflict can cause trauma for generations. So the album starts with Blitzkrieg Bop. This introduces the first character in the story. He's a German soldier fighting for the Nazis in World War II. Now, this guy, he's so far down the rabbit hole of Nazism that he loves being a soldier. He loves fighting. He loves forming in a straight line. He loves going through tight ones. He loves watching people lose their minds. He loves it when he has to shoot them in the back now. Like, this is someone who's fully bought into what he's fighting for. And he's excited to fight for it. He's willing to live and die for Adolf Hitler. But of course, the war ends. And so he returns home kind of proud of what he did, but also he's seen a lot of shit, and he's pretty lost without having the identity of being a soldier. And so he goes home and is like miserable, and so he thinks, maybe if I had a kid, that would give my life purpose. And so him and his wife have a kid. At this point, though, the kid, it's a good vibe in the household for a little bit, but as the kid grows up, all those feelings of like not having an identity and being so passionate over something so misguided, all this is getting to this former soldier. And so because of this, he starts to blame the kid for everything. Starts to blame the kid for like all his mental issues and all his like feeling lost. And so he starts to resent the kid. He starts to either fantasize about being the kid or actually beating the kid, depending on whether or not you want to take beat on the brat literally. And so, but he just hates this kid, hates his life, and so he spends a lot of his time in Berlin just drinking. While he's out drinking, he meets two girls, Jackie and Judy. These are American girls, but they're visiting Germany to join the Escapades. Now, he's enamored with these girls, maybe not in a romantic way, but he's really excited by them because they're just these young punk girls doing what they want, just going wherever they want, and he wants to live that adventure. And so the three form like a weird but nice bond up until the girls are done with the Escapades and they decide to move back to San Francisco to join the SLA. Now, if you don't know what the SLA is, they're this left-wing militant group in California. In the 70s, they caused a bunch of ruckus. They robbed banks. They're the group that kidnapped Patty Hearst. They're that group. And so they join the SLA, and he's stuck in Germany. And so he decides right then and there, like, I want an adventure too. And so because of this, he leaves his wife, he leaves his kid, and just moves out, just ditches them. Like goes out for a pack of cigarettes and never returns. Now, in his new town, he immediately meets a new girl, and he falls for her. And of course, she's just a rebound, but he doesn't know this. He's in love. He wants to be her boyfriend, and he's just super excited about this new girl. But his demons catch up to him, like his disappointment in losing the war, his loss of identity, and now the angst of leaving his family, to the point where he starts to put all this internal pain on this new girlfriend. To the point, it gets to the point where they're at a movie, they're watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and he starts to fantasize about her being the victims in these like horrible death scenes. This is where the lyrics, sitting here with nothing to do, sitting here thinking only of you, but you'll never get out alive, and I don't care. That's where that comes from. And so, to deal with all this internal struggle, he starts turning to drugs. He starts sniffing glue, he starts just whatever drugs he can get, he takes. To the point where his mental problems become even worse. And he starts to become paranoid, he starts to see things that aren't there. He becomes just convinced that there's a monster in his basement trying to kill him, and so he refuses to go down to the basement. And then this just spirals more and more and more until he realizes that he's just stuck in his life. He's stuck with this girl that he thinks he hates. He's stuck with this loud mouth, and he just kind of accepts his life as like a drug-addled nothing. And so the next song introduces a new character. This character is a young Cuban man. He's a farmer. He's a man who loves his country, but at the same time is struggling with a lot of questions regarding his sexuality. Because he has a girlfriend that he loves, but also he's bisexual, and he's never acted on it or anything, because in Cuba, homosexuality is legal, and so he just can't act on these feelings. And by the way, he's a banana farmer. That's important because I think the Ramones are trying to use him being a banana farmer as a symbol of his bisexuality, and like him not being able to act out on it. Because I mean, bananas super phallic. I don't need to tell you that. Super phallic, but as a farmer, you can't enjoy the bananas. They're just there. Like, you can't just sit there eating the bananas. And so the same thing with his bisexuality. He wants to meet men. He wants to be with men, but he's not allowed to. So I think that's where that metaphor comes in. And so the CIA pick him out to do some spying for him, and he's really conflicted by this. Because he loves his country, but he also needs the money. And so he reluctantly decides to go ahead with it, even though there's a lot of internal conflict. That's exemplified by the line, "Baby, baby, make me loco." Like this dual thing of, I love my country, but I'm going to spy on it. That's kind of driving him nuts. And so he's really conflicted, but he does it anyway. And so he does the job. And then his girlfriend finds out. And she's pissed. Even though he loves his country a lot, she is like an absolute patriot for Cuba. And so she sees him as a traitor. She sees him as like a no-good puppet of the United States, and dumps him. And so that's when he realizes that he should have listened to his heart and been and stayed a farmer. And even though he was dealing with these like issues with his sexuality. And so because she breaks up with him, and he's freaked out that she's going to snitch on him, he decides, fuck it, I'll move to the United States. And so he moves to New York City. And so while he's here, he decides that, okay, I'm going to experiment a little bit with his bisexuality. And so he meets a young street hustler on 53rd and 3rd. And he buys sex off him. The sex worker doesn't tell him much, but he tells him that he used to fight in Vietnam, but now he's back in New York trying to make some money. And after he sleeps with him, the sex worker, boom, kills him. Kills him. Because the sex worker, he's dealing with his own demons regarding his sexuality. because the sex worker, he's not gay necessarily, but he had his own rough childhood where his father beat him and ran away, and so he's not attracted to men, but he is attracted to the attention of men, the attention that his dad never gave him. And so, but to prove to himself that he wasn't gay, he had to kill one of his clients. So this young sex worker, he's out on the street. He meets a woman. He meets a woman on the street. She's also a sex worker. She's down on her luck, but they click immediately. And so they go dancing. They have a lot of fun times. But just about as soon as he fell for her, he starts to resent her, because he has all this internal shit going on inside of him, and he blames her for it. Like, he projects it all on her. He blames her for everything, to the point where he doesn't even want to walk around with her. And so he rejects her. He's like, get out of my life, pushes her away. And so this is at the point where he realizes that he doesn't want to love anybody anymore. He realizes that the only companionship he's going to keep from now on is just companionship in order to get something, or in order to like boost himself up in some way. Hence the lyric, today your love, tomorrow the world. Because at the end of the day, he was just a little German boy being pushed around. The same little German boy that German soldier abandoned all those years ago. So the Ramones self-titled album, like I said, is a story about generational trauma, about the effects of war, about violence, about sex, about confusion. It's either that or it's just a fun collection of songs. Either way, what do you think? Comment below. Thank you.